Rock was trying his best to keep their new captor in, I guess you could say, good spirits. Of course, it's hard to keep a child in good spirits when you're kidnapping them, or rather, you're shipping them off to be kidnapped. The hostage in question, Garcia Lovelace of the Lovelace family, one of the 13 most wealthiest and noble families of South America, was being carried off against his will by Lagoon Company. They had been hired by the Colombian Mafia to bring in the boy. Something about some grievance against the Lovelace family, but in the end, you didn't really ask those type of questions. The only thing that mattered now was that they had to get the cargo from point A to point B. For Dutch, he had his misgivings, of course. He was worried that Rock might somehow get too attached to the victim. It wasn't that Rock couldn't do good work. Of course he did. But at the same time, he had a little bit of humanity left inside of him. He wasn't the type of person who could just turn a blind eye to just any old thing. And there were times when Dutch had to not fill him in on the full gravity of the situation. You see, Rock was a loose cannon. Not someone that he couldn't trust entirely, but he was someone who was prone to making decisions that might not always be in the best interest of the group. And for Dutch, he liked how things were going with Rock. He really did. And he didn't want that relationship to end on a sour note. Say, for instance, if Rock were to gain a conscience and decide that he was going to betray the mission. When you're a part of Lagoon Company, you don't ask what you're smuggling. Whether you're told, whether you're not told, it doesn't matter. You could be smuggling weapons, drugs, sometimes humans. But all that comes with the territory. And for the most part, Rock never objected to anything. But they were dealing with a child right now. There was no telling what Rock could do. He might set the child free and pretend it was an accident. And Dutch knew firsthand that Rock could hold his own in a fight. He couldn't just intimidate Rock. He might shove him around every now and again, but that was just in Rock's nature. He wasn't the type of person to look for conflict. But if push came to shove, Rock was going to hold his own, and Dutch knew that. He also knew that if it really came down to it, Benny and Revy might not be too much help in bringing him in. So for now, it was just best to make sure that everyone had a cool head. As for Rock, he was trying to keep the boy in good spirit. But Garcia kept going on and on about this maid named Roberta, saying that she had the capabilities of saving him. Of course, Rock just thought that the boy was speaking nonsense, but whatever it was that gave him hope. For Revy, she just enjoyed antagonizing the little kid. But there was something that didn't seem right. This whole setup, it all felt, well, a little advantageous. Before they made any decisions, Dutch wanted to make a call. Balalaka had information, and as such, he wanted to know more about the Lovelace family and their dealings with the cartel. For now, before they did anything, they were going to go to the bar. Because right now, Dutch needed to get his ducks in a row, and the group needed a drink. However, as Lagoon Company were making their way into the bar, they could hear a commotion that was taking place. It was the members of the Colombia cartel, the ones that hired them, and they were speaking to a woman who was looking for a fellow countryman, a woman who was seeking her master. And she had come into contact with the thugs that hired for his kidnapping. Of course, she didn't want things to get violent, but unfortunately, when things got violent, more often than not, it caused her to have to go back to her old ways, doing the kind of things that didn't bring her much comfort, but got results. It started when she raised her umbrella. Of course, everyone in the patronage laughed Because after all, it was just an umbrella. What was she gonna do? Fight them like she was Mary Poppins? As everyone laughed and scorned her away, the umbrella would open, followed by gunfire. The first poor soul was launched across the bar, his body being hit with the pelt of a shotgun. And then the umbrella started to swing, and more people started to fall. The bar soon became a shootout. As Lagoon Company took cover, Garcia, recognizing that that was Roberta, and he was seeing her in a whole new light. Roberta was putting her skills to good use, clearing out the patronage and all those who had caused her master so much discomfort. Even when Revy tried to get involved, it didn't go too well for her as she was hit with the boom tube of another automatic firing rifle coming from her suitcase, knocking Revy out cold. Roberta would lock eyes on Garcia, who was now frightened by what he was seeing. And now, Lagoon Company wanting to pull out of the job and having no choice, as Garcia wanted to go with them. He couldn't make sense of what was going on at all, but he feared for his life. Rock would pack Revy into the car with Garcia and with Dutch, with Benny driving off, while he would stay back and face against Roberta. As Lagoon Company drove off into the night, Roberta would walk out of the bar that had been set ablaze with all of the grenades that she had launched off afterwards, dismantling the Colombia cartel and reducing their numbers. As she stepped out into the streets, she would find that Rock was waiting for her, with a cigarette already lit. "I take it you were with those scoundrels who took away my master." "Yeah, sorry about that. I really didn't mean for this to get out of hand. I promise you, I made sure that the boy was safe and that no harm came to him." "I appreciate that. I can sense that you are a man that has some integrity, even in a place full of sin. But I'm going to need you to return the boy to me. If you do so, I promise that your friends will not be harmed." "We're trying to make sense of it all, but I think we can come to some understanding. You mind putting down your weapons?" "I'm afraid I can't do that. I may need them. I may have to kill you." "Well, appears that we're at an impasse then. Because I can't let you kill my friends. Well, I feel like friends is a strong term. I'd say brothers in arms." "I see. So you plan to stand in my way?" "Just long enough until we get things sorted out. I hope you don't mind." Roberta would pull out a gun, attempting to shoot at Rock, who caught every bullet that she fired. "That's impressive. I see that your reflexes are superhuman. And your power?" Rock would sigh to himself. Under normal circumstances, using blessed energy, the power that he created from cursed energy, was only needed when he fought against cursed spirits. If he was fighting against a human, he could just amplify himself with cursed energy, and that would be more than enough. As he dropped the bullets from his hand, he just shook his head. "It's nothing special, nothing you need to worry yourself with. I'm just going to say it would be a lot easier if you went down quietly. I believe in showing respect to a woman, and I'd hate to have to rough you up." Roberta would just smile. "I appreciate your concern, but I would be very careful if I were you. I'm not the type of person you want to show your tricks. I may have to steal them." "Yeah, I don't know about that." Roberta would charge towards Rock as he entered into a defensive stance. He put up his arms in a blocking motion and was able to block against every strike that Roberta fired. Roberta would then be put on the defensive as Rock would enter into a counter flurry of his own. but surprisingly enough, Roberta was able to counter him efficiently. If he didn't know any better, he could have sworn that she used the same defensive sequence that he had used against her. And then when she switched back to offense, she mirrored every attack that Rock had fired, down to the last detail. As the fight would continue, Rock could see more and more that Roberta, she was mimicking him. It was starting to become unsettling, and it only got worse when she started copying things that only Rock could know. There's no way. But before Rock could even figure out what had happened, Roberta would catch him off guard with a kick to the gut, a knee to the face, before kicking out his legs and pulling out a gun of her own. Rock would kick once more, but Roberta was able to counter him once again. She would attempt to fire shots from her second gun, as Rock would block using his defense, his cursed energy surrounding his body like a tiny force field, protecting him in that moment. How are you able to do that? Rock would ask. I have a good memory. I told you, you don't want to show me your tricks. Roberta would then throw a couple of grenades to the ground, the explosion knocking up enough smoke and dust to distract Rock, long enough as she attempted her escape, as she would follow after Benny, who had gotten a good distance away by the car, only for Roberta to run them down, as she had managed to commandeer a vehicle of her own. As they saw her in the rearview mirror, this caused Dutch to worry. This bitch has got to be something else, Dutch would say, if she was capable of getting past Rock. Yeah, and I don't want to find out what she's capable of. As they attempted to escape onto the main road, Roberta would jump into the air, leaving her vehicle, latching onto the top with her trench knife. Using what guns she had available, she would shoot at the top engine of the car, before it would eventually crash off into the port. In the midst of their crash, Revy would awaken, and she was itching for revenge. As Benny, Dutch, Garcia would attempt to take cover, a shootout would ensue between both Revy and Roberta. If Roberta had to give Revy credit for anything, the bitch was a psycho. She was definitely skilled with a gun, and the way that she fought, it was unorthodox, unlike anything she'd ever seen before. By the time Rock had caught up with the group, Dutch was surprised to see that he was in one piece. Damn, Rock. She wasn't any ordinary maid, was she? No, she's not. She has some type of photographic memory. She can copy anything she sees. Hold on, what did you just say? Benny would ask. She copied my movements, Benny, when we fought. The way I fight, there are only a few people in the world who would even be capable of doing what I can do. And I know damn well she isn't one of them. But she saw my moves one time, and she used them on me. That can't be good. No, it's not. If she can really do that, she's way more dangerous than we ever gave her credit for. The shootout would last until the sunrise. When finally it seemed like both fighters were almost out of ammo, they went in for a final charge, only to be stopped, as Miss Balalaka had arrived, along with a full complement of soldiers surrounding them. Even for Roberta and her skills, she knew that getting shot at from every direction at this point would just be suicide. And for Benny, he was even more suspicious, because if Miss Balalaka was here, and all of her guards, then hold on. Hey, wait a second. Where's your Rock and Benny would watch in unison, as from out of nowhere, a foot would arrive between his legs, causing him to keel over. For Dutch, he already knew this was coming, but it didn't make it any less funny. fuck you. You hit me the first time, and then you got me the second time. How long are you going to antagonize the boy, girl? Miss Balalaka said with a grin. As long as there is breath in my lungs. What are your orders, ma'am? No need to fight. After all, we have a monster in our midst, or should I say demon? Demon? Garcia would say. Oh, you don't know? Your maid here is far from any ordinary house cleaner. No. She's quite notorious. Numerous assassinations, bombings, other terrorist-related activity. Why, she's an international menace to society. Roberta, otherwise known as the Assassin Taskmaster, said to have the unique ability to copy any movement that she sees even once. A mind that can store endless amounts of information, all on a first try. You could say that she truly is the modern-day Marvel, a super soldier unlike any other. Roberta, is this true? I am sorry, young master. I did not wish to deceive you like this. But it is true. It is a part of my past. It's not something I'm proud of, but it is the life that I have lived. I know that in the end, I can never... That doesn't matter! I don't care what they call you. I just want to go home, Roberta. Please. I believe we can arrange that. After all, her presence here will make things troublesome. Yeah. Happy family ending, all that bullshit, Revy would say. That doesn't change the fact that I still got a fucking bullet in my arm. And I don't feel like things are settled. Oh, well, if you're willing to throw just fists, then you can do it, Roberta. Teach that ugly bitch a lesson. What was that, you little bastard? Roberta can handle anything. On the surface, Garcia would be right. Under most circumstances, there wasn't a fight that Roberta couldn't win. But there was something off. And it all started when Roberta wanted to play dirty. By the way, before we get started, your shoes is untied. Huh? With a sucker punch to the face, the fight was on. All sense of strategy and logic went out the window. And for Roberta, it would have done her little good at this point. Because while Revy was a good fighter, a decent one, she was unorthodox. The way she fought, there was nothing sane about it. She did things that Roberta's mind couldn't comprehend. The way that Revy would just throw herself. The way that she would dislocate her shoulder, then reinsert it just to gain some mild advantage. She fought like a madman. This wasn't something that Roberta wanted to copy. No sane person would. And the look on her face said it all. They fought and slugged it out. There was no sense of technique with this fight. No, this was just two prideful women who just wanted to see the other one get slugged out. And they fought to a standstill. For Roberta, it wasn't like she was trying after all. In the end, she didn't want to kill any of them, and she was more than ready to go home. And Garcia would carry her. Hopefully, this would be the last time that they'd ever have to see Roanoper. For Rock, to see Revy fighting in such a way, it definitely put her in a new light. And as for Benny, well, he was still trying to salvage his manhood after Yelena had crushed him. Although, that did leave some questions. For Rock, who the hell was Yelena? Who was she to Hotel Moscow? And why did she hate Benny so much? But that was a story for another day. For now, the only thing that mattered was that everyone, well, almost everyone, was gonna make it home in one piece. As Lagoon Company drove off as the sun began to rise over Roanoke, a new day, new challenges were awaiting them. After all, you never knew what you were going to find in the city of the dead. This concludes Black Lagoon, City of the Dead. What If Revy Was the Punisher? Season 1, Part 5. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned next Monday as we continue with Black Lagoon, City of the Dead. What If Revy Was the Punisher? Season 1, Part 6. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.